Female rap is one of my favorite types of music to listen to of all time. At its best, it's one of the most innovative, subversive, and thought-provoking types of rap music. The way they rebel with their femininity against the male-dominated genre they reside in, and how they incorporate their struggles as women as a backdrop for great music, is something I personally relate to despite not fully identifying as a woman. It's just so liberating to hear these women assert their dominance and contrast to the men in rap music. Female rap has gone through a major change from its start with the creation of hip-hop in the 1970s, the golden age during the 80s and 90s, the drought of female rap during the 2000s, the subsequent revitalization of female rap during the 2010s, and now the rising landscape in the 2020s. So today's video is going to be a part of a trilogy of videos. Part 1 is where I talk about the history of female rap, part 2 is going to be an analysis of female rap as a whole, and part 3 will be about female rap aesthetics. Today, we're going to be looking at the brief history of female rap, how it all started, what happened during those times, and just a brief state of female rap currently right now. Before we start with the history of female rap, I think an important thing to note about female rap specifically is that its foundation is based not on the feminist theory, but rather black feminist theory. Venice Berry wrote that both movements grew out of the need for women to speak for themselves. Yet the message of black women is different from that of white women because their circumstances are different. You also have to know that rap music is a product of black male tradition and experience, and this has defined the images of women from that limited perspective. Goodell also writes that rap music written and performed by men has generally either ignored the existence of women or defined them as commodities, objects of male pleasure or ornaments. The mere presence of female rappers helps to combat the intensity of this sexism, but too often these women have confronted barriers both within and without the industry, which was discouraging, if not preventing altogether the fullest expression of their social and political as well as emotional and sexual concerns. Whoever you are, we can all admit that hip-hop is a very misogynistic genre, and it's a male-dominated genre as well. With these in mind, we can better understand why there was a stark difference between what male rappers said in their music back then and now to what female rappers were trying to say. I want to shout out both Black Femininity TV and Madison Brown for creating videos already on female rap's history, and they were a lifesaver for me honestly when writing this video. Also, I will probably skim through some of the contributions of other female rappers. I just want to go through like the major female rappers that are in right now. If you think there are some female rappers I wasn't able to discuss properly, you know, I had to research a lot of this history as someone who didn't really grow up at the earlier eras of female rap, so I might have missed some. Female rap can be seen literally in the start of the creation of hip-hop itself. Most people know DJ Kool Herc as a founding father of hip-hop. However, we also have to note Cindy Campbell. Cindy Campbell was the one to not only come up with the idea of a back-to-school after party, she was also the one to produce and finance the parties. Cindy and Herc's party at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, held 50 years ago, is widely recognized as laying the foundation upon which hip-hop was built. However, the first female rappers who are close to what we perceive now as female rappers were the Mercedes Ladies, hip-hop's first all-female DJ and MC crew. Another influential group was the Sequence, who was the first female rap group to be in a record label, and they were the first female rappers to go gold with their hit Funk You Up, which if you still can tell by the title was actually sampled, illegally might I add, later on by Bruno Mars for their smash hit Uptown Funk. Roxanne Shante was also one of the first female rappers to receive a ton of attention and commercial success for their hit Roxanne's Revenge and the subsequent Roxanne Wars. Roxanne's Revenge was one of the first female rap diss tracks created, and its title can be seen as an inspiration for another revenge diss track from another female rapper years later. She also inevitably was one of the people who pioneered the golden age of female rap around the late 80s and early 90s, which saw rappers like MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, The Brat, Moni Love, Salt and Peppa, and so many others rise up and really make female rap visible. MC Lyte most notably was a huge help in tearing down walls that blocked female rappers from mainstream success, and with her being the first solo female rapper to have a single go gold with her song Roughneck, the first female rapper to release a full solo album, and the first female rapper to be nominated for a Grammy. Queen Latifah was also one female rapper that helped solidify the visibility of female rappers, and she was one of the few female rappers at the time to really have a grip on the culture and be this huge movement. One thing to note about female rappers at this time was that they didn't present themselves in the very feminine and sexual images that the future female rappers will later on have and adapt. They were dressed in more baggy clothing and more masculine fits. This can be seen as them wanting to be viewed more like the men in rap and be respected the same way as these male rappers are. This was also still a very conservative time, even for hip-hop, and these women didn't want to be seen as just another piece of eye candy by these men. They wanted the perception of them to be as a rapper. Goodall, for their article on the evolution of black female rap, also has the same sentiments, writing that perhaps in an effort to combat this tendency, pioneering female rappers tended to keep their sexuality well hidden. Their lyrics were predominantly asexual, but rarely, if ever, gender-coded. They typically address questions of legitimacy and virtuosity as an MC. In personal and stage appearances, these women cultivated images as one of the guys. MC Lyte, for instance, began her career wearing sweatsuits, sneakers, and dookie chains. MC Lyte was not alone in this. Goodall also notes that many female rappers were reluctant and afraid even to exhibit any signs of femininity. Queen Latifah's initial attempt to leave issues of sexuality out of her music and persona entirely was nonetheless progress from MC Lyte's outright denial of female identity, with her at least proclaiming her existence as a strong, confident, politically aware black woman, albeit one without sexual feelings. Her second album, however, progressed even further, as she began to address issues of self not only as a woman but also, and arguably equally important, as a sexual being. Fly Girl, for instance, deals with her desirability, while Give Me Your Love deals with her desires. Salt and Pepper was one of the first female rappers who received mainstream success and really talk about sex and have more sexual innuendos at their lyrics, and they really were progressive in terms of addressing female sexuality. Not as openly as the later 90s female rappers will do, but it was a start. Their hits Push It, Tramp, I'll Take Your Man, and Let's Talk About Sex helped them be one of the first female rappers to have topics such as getting female independence and sexuality openly discussed. But Guru also knows that their statements, however powerful, still fall shy of expressing a woman's desire for sexual fulfillment on her own accord. Instead, they feature morally and mentally superior women fending off sexually aggressive men, or strong women attracting men to whom they remain indifferent. Obviously, this doesn't take away from the powerful messages that these women were rapping about. Especially around the late 80s to early 90s, a lot of these female rappers talked about social issues and things happening around them. Sexuality isn't the only thing that's important for female rappers to talk about. I'm just using it as an example to compare female rappers then to now, as female rappers now are very open about female sexuality. Some might even say too open about their sexuality. I also just want to go back to Queen Latifah, because Queen Latifah was really one of the first female rappers to not only have multiple hit records on her belt, but also build an empire of her own in not only music but also film.
Thank you guys so much. Queen Latifah, I'm so obsessed with you because you're just so genuine and so sweet, and she flew out just to do this. She's the only one that I said, if I'm gonna do this, I would love it if it could be her, because she knows what it takes to be a woman in a male-dominated field and to kick ass and to build an empire and to do it gracefully and just be multifaceted.
And in the midst of all this, a new generation of female rappers came into fruition. Lauryn Hill is one of the greatest female rappers and one of the greatest artists really of all time. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is such a classic, and listening to it, you really can't deny her impact and genius. She was the first woman to win Rap Album of the Year with the Fugees for their album The Score. She set a record in the 41st Annual Grammy Awards, having the most nominations that night with 10 nominations, and set a record for the most nominations for a female artist in one night. She also became the first rapper to win Album of the Year with the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Lauryn is frequently recognized for having popularized the sound of combining rap with melodic singing in the same song, a method known as melodic rap, through her solo work and collaborations with Fugees. Aside from her lyrical ability on the mic, she was also credited with writing and producing songs for many artists including Whitney Houston, Carla Santana, Aretha Franklin, and Mary J. Blige. In addition to her skill in crafting lyrics, she has written and produced music for a wide range of performers. The fact that she created such a huge legacy for her with only one solo album speaks volumes to her as an artist, and I think her releasing one solo album is both an advantage and detriment to her as an artist, because her releasing only this highly raved upon beloved classic of an album kind of cementified her and this album as a once-in-a-lifetime artist, and it removed the burden of her releasing a sophomore album that might have tarnished her legacy had it not been as impactful or as good as her debut. On the other hand, artists are mostly judged by their bodies of work, and with Lauryn having only one solo album in her belt, it's hard to say she's the best female rapper ever, despite the legendary work she's put out. Going away from Lauryn Hill, we also have artists who have now fully embraced their promiscuity and sexuality, with artists like Lil Kim and Foxy Brown really leading the race here. Both female rappers really led the race on having a more rough sound, a more raunchy and wanton image. Lil Kim really shattered the norm when it comes to female rappers. Female rappers before Kim have already been sexy and exploring avenues of female sexuality, however she was really the one to push it to new heights. I think female rappers and the executives that were trying to push female rappers realized that trying to make them fit into the male rap convention of baggy clothes and hardcore rap wasn't working, and so they transferred the vigor of these male rappers to female rappers, but hypersexualizing them and making them an exaggerated version of the female sex icon, one that has autonomy over her body and her mind. And that's where Lil Kim comes in. She was the perfect person to push this new wave of female rappers. She released classics like Hardcore and the Notorious K.I.M. She went #1 in the Hot 100 with Lady Marmalade, a collaboration with Mia, Pink, and Christina Aguilera. She was a major fashion risk taker as well, and was a definite blueprint for female rap aesthetics in the future. She had bright, colorful wigs, designer outfits that were not in the norm exactly, and she was very forward-thinking with her fashion. But another rapper I feel people often don't acknowledge enough for her contributions to female rap is Foxy Brown. Foxy Brown is often overlooked when talking about influential female rappers. Like, I've done research, read some papers, and watched videos of female rap history, and they barely mention Foxy Brown. And that's kind of weird because she's just as influential as Lil Kim in shaping the current female rap wave that led to another rapper completely dominating and taking female rap to new heights. El Nana, her debut album, entered the scene at a turning point for hip-hop, establishing female rap as a legitimate art form with monetary potential. China Doll by Foxy Brown was also the first full solo rap album by a female rapper to debut atop the Billboard 200, and the second by a female rapper following the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Broken Silence, her last studio album, was a remarkable combination of hip-hop, gospel, and patois, and it was unfairly slept on at the time of its release. She has went head-to-head with some of the best rappers at the time and was easily a standout. One thing I'm still flabbergasted by is how Lil Kim is named as Nicki's biggest inspiration, when if you look at Nicki's older works, like her really early works, she sounded exactly like Foxy. Her flow was Foxy's, and she has been very open about Foxy's big influence on her. By boldly asserting their sexualities, Foxy Brown and Lil Kim reclaimed the authority that male rappers so easily usurp from female artists through their own songs. Every obscene comment or arrogant declaration heard in one of their songs advanced sexual politics for women everywhere. And I don't think women in music, not just female rap, would have the freedom to be so openly sexual had it not been for them. Another thing I want to note is the misconception that people had about female rappers back in the day. They see or hear a song like Not Tonight and think, oh my god, everyone's friends with each other, they love each other, female rap unity. But I think people often forget that female rappers back in the day still feuded with one another, and I would say were even worse than they are right now. There was a lot of competitiveness in the female rap genre. Most of it is obviously taken from the fact that hip-hop in general is a very competitive genre, but I think another factor in this is that women in general are forced to fight each other. They're pitted against each other. Obviously, most of these women have agencies and they just fought because they didn't like each other, but we still have to note that there was this sort of unspoken rule that there can only be one female rapper at the top of the game, and that's still practiced upon today. In fact, what's weird about how they perceive Nicki nowadays is that they compare the bully Nicki to Lil Kim being friendly to other female rappers and say, oh my god, look at the difference between both. When Lil Kim went to jail because of their feud with Foxy Brown, she lied in court to protect her friends from a shootout that was caused by Lil Kim and Foxy Brown's feud, and this kind of ended Lil Kim's trajectory and inevitably her career. Foxy Brown's career also fizzled out due to legal issues and losing some of her hearing, and with that, what I would call the female rap drought happened during the 2000s. Obviously, there were still other active female rappers that still charted, like Trina, Eve, and Missy Elliott especially. I just want to talk about Missy Elliott quickly because she really held the female rap game down at a time where there wasn't anyone out. She was a revolutionary in terms of her visual direction in her music videos, especially her works with Hype Williams. Missy Elliott was kind of a return to form to the old wave of female rappers who wore more baggy clothing instead of the hypersexualized outfits popularized by Foxy Brown and Lil Kim. Dubserver's Ted Kessler noted that she had revolutionized the sound of R&B and hip-hop and reintroduced the notion of fun and fantasy to urban black music throughout her studio albums. Her style married the futuristic, much-copied new sound of her debut album Supa Dupa Fly, released in 1997. Missy Elliott was the one who led female hip-hop album sales commercially during the late 90s and early 2000s. In fact, when the Grammys still separated awards by gender, she was the one who won most of it. 2 out of her 4 Grammys were for Best Female Rap Solo Performance. After a while, however, Missy Elliott also kind of fizzled out, and in the late 2000s, female rap was basically dead. There were no one charting high or having significant releases at the time. There really was a female rap drought. To put this into context, at the BET Awards in 2009, there were only 3 female rappers nominated for Best Female Hip-Hop Artist: Lil Mama, Trina, and MIA, all of which have not released an album that year, and it was a dark time for female rap. And then, at the start of the 2010s, a girl with pink hair emerged from the ashes of female rap and shouted, "It's Barbie, bitch." Nicki Minaj, honestly, does she even need any introduction at this point? You know, hate Nicki Minaj all you want, but you really can't deny the impact that she has had on female rap. She took female rap to heights that no other female rapper has taken it to, and quite frankly, no other female rapper past or present has been able to do. She is the undeniable queen of rap. She's the best-selling female rapper of all time and was able to grab this achievement only a few years into her career. And she's the first female rapper to be a global superstar. And don't try to say Nicki wasn't the first female rapper global superstar, because most of the people who would say that are usually from the West. I'm gonna be deadly honest, most of the people I just talked about before Nicki aren't really that well known in the world. Obviously, there are a couple of people who know about them, but Nicki was the first female rapper to become a household name, someone everyone on the globe knows. I liked how Madison Brown described the timeline of female rap as easily divided between before Nicki Minaj and after Nicki Minaj. When Nicki Minaj entered the scene, she really struck a chord with the public because she wasn't like any female rapper, or to be honest, any rapper we've seen before. She was campy, she was animated, she was very eccentric with her fashion choices and way of rapping, especially back in her earlier mainstream years. The fact that she graduated from LaGuardia High School, a performing arts school, I think is a big reason as to why she was able to have a lot of crossover appeal. She was a hood girl, but also a theater kid, meaning she was able to rap with the best and be authentically hip-hop whilst being able to keep it weird in a good way. She wasn't afraid to be bizarre in her raps, and it distinguished her from her other peers. She really was the complete female rap package. Her pen is immaculate, her flows and enunciation is top tier. She's a very distinctive personality and her style is so out there, you just can't take your eyes off it. And she's an amazing and hilarious entertainer as well. Her ability to create memeable moments out of the most silly things helped her not only boost her popularity, but keep it, and I think, other than her talent and her discography, those funny Nicki moments will be the one to keep her in the midst of pop culture for a long time. She started putting out mixtapes during the mid to late 2000s, building street hype and a name for herself before she became mainstream. mainstream. Her mixtapes gave her credibility amongst the hip-hop community, showing how sharp her pen and flow is. And when she started associating with Young Money, putting out hits like Bedrock, her verses were always a standout, which was a sneak peek to a long-standing thing of Nicki out-rapping everyone on any track she was put in. And I keep on emphasizing how big of an impact Nicki had when she came in the game. Female rap was absolutely dead when Nicki started gaining traction. She revived the entire female rap genre from the grave. For context, Moment for Life in 2011 became the first female rap-led song to go #1 on the Hot R&B Hip-Hop Songs chart since Missy Elliott's Work It spent 5 weeks at #1 in 2002. Her debut album Pink Friday has the highest debut for a female rap album in this century, and it has the second highest debut overall for a female rap album, with 375,000 copies sold first week, only topped by The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And what's more impressive is that she did those numbers without Super Bass, because people forget that Super Bass was a track on the deluxe version of Pink Friday. Nicki was also one of the first female rappers and artists in general to completely utilize social media, posting on MySpace and interacting with her fans constantly there. And then when Twitter became a thing, she went on there and dominated. She was also one of the first female rappers to brand her fan base, and now the Barbs are one of the most notorious fan bases out there. Nicki wasn't afraid to experiment with her music. It started with her debut track, Massive Attack, which didn't do so well, but it did show that Nicki wanted to create a sound of her own and not something that is just like anything else female rappers before her put out. She then started incorporating pop into her music, which was a very crucial step in her career, as those more pop songs helped her get on top of not only the charts but also the world. Songs like Your Love, Super Bass, Starships, Vava Voom, Pound the Alarm, and it helped Nicki navigate the 2010s music scene, where hip-hop wasn't really the dominating genre as pop continued to see a major boom in the 2010s. She got a lot of flack for her doing pop music, and I think that backlash seeped into Nicki as she has, in more recent years, shown a distaste for those songs that she created. But I think she's come back around and has since recognized that pop music was a major part of her career, and it's not something that she should try to stay away from. And it's not something that diminishes her status as the best female rapper of all time. In fact, it adds to it, because as we've seen, not everyone can create pop hits. Nicki created the pop formula, and it's now being utilized successfully by Doja Cat and unsuccessfully by other female rappers. Pink Friday and Pink Friday Roman Reloaded were her introduction to the world. Both albums were a perfect blend of hip-hop and pop. Her next album, The Pink Print, is what I would say her magnum opus. It sees a more stripped down Nicki than we are used to seeing, and she focused more on the hip-hop aspect of her abilities for this album. She also released Queen and most recently Pink Friday 2, which showed Nicki still had the power to sell and release quality music nearly 15 years into her career. When talking about Nicki, we also have to talk about her features, because features are a huge part of her career. She was able to create this image of her verse as being a standout on songs that people wanted to listen to a song with the Nicki feature more. Her monster verse specifically helped her get a ton of respect from the hip-hop community, rapping with some of the best in the industry, and solidified her spot as a top female rapper at the time. I know I kind of focused on Nicki a lot here, but I mean, it's really hard not to when Nicki, for a lot of us and for an entire decade, was female rap. She was female rap. She dominated female rap that I don't even think it was domination. It was basically a monopoly from 2010 to 2017. She really was the only consistent female rapper popping at the time. However, there were other female rappers rising at this time. Of course, we also had Iggy Azalea, and I just wanted to mention her briefly because her run-in streak was insane as well. Iggy had her debut single Work, which is one of my favorite tracks from her. Valley Girls giving blowjobs for Louboutins. What you call that? Head over heels? I don't know, even Shakespeare couldn't write that. But she really rose to fame with her massive hit Fancy featuring Charlie XCX, which topped the Hot 100 for 7 weeks, and this was followed by Problem with Ariana Grande, which peaked at #2 on the Hot 100. Then followed by Black Widow with Rita Ora peaking at #3 on the Hot 100. It was an insane run, and she was the only one at this point that was shifting Nicki's crown a bit of female rap dominance. But after those huge successes, she kind of started to have a decline with the messy rollout and eventual shelving of her second album, Digital Distortion, as well as switching labels and eventually going independent. All of those factors kind of took things for the worse for Iggy. It wasn't all bad for Iggy though. I think she was able to transition seamlessly from the 2014 landscape to the late 2010s with her projects. I actually really liked her EP Survive the Summer. Cream is an absolute bop. Her second album, in my defense, was kind of a disappointment, especially with a banger of a lead single like Sally Walker. Her next EP, Wicked Lips, is an absolute favorite of mine, and Lola deserved so much more than it got. Her last album to date is This Is the End of an Era, and I think it showed Iggy had so much potential, and with a better label in her hands when she first debuted, I think she would be a bigger part in our conversation of female rap now. Azalea Banks also rose to prominence during this time. God, Azalea, I don't even know how to talk about her. She's the definition of a genius gone mad, because she really is a genius. I think other than Nicki, Azalea is one of the few female rappers that was so innovative in her approach, mixing house music into her sound, and her flows are just incredible. 212 is simply a masterpiece. Like, honestly, you can't listen to that song and not bop. She was really carving out a lane as someone willing to experiment with different sounds, pulling from hip-hop to house and dance music with 3 projects. A mixtape, Fantasy, an EP, 1991, which led up to her first full-length album, Broke with Expensive Taste, all debuting to varying amounts of critical acclaim. But obviously nowadays when we hear Azealia Banks, it's mostly about missed potential and how she would have potentially been at the top of her game had she not had any social media. She is now known more for her feuds and online rants than anything, not to mention her very tumultuous relationship with the LGBTQ+ community, seemingly carrying her entire career, and we praise her all the time despite her not so tasteful comments about the community. I mean, just look at the feud list of Azealia. Like, honestly, how are you able to feud with all of these celebrities, the entire nations of Ireland and Sweden, the African diaspora, and Wendy Williams? Like, come on. Honestly, I don't know if I should be impressed or terrified by Azealia Banks. I'm thinking of creating a video on her, so I won't be saying much, but she really fumbled the bag. But honestly, other than the occasional rising female rapper, no one was able to capture the general public's attention and love the way Nicki did. She really had all of us in a chokehold for nearly a decade. But then in 2017, something called the Nicki hate train started, and it started the decline of love towards Nicki. This was started by Remy Ma, and I think she showed people that Nicki wasn't invincible. Even though Nicki eventually got out of the Nicki hate train, for the time that it was happening, she really was vulnerable, and so was her spot as a queen of rap. And this gave way for other female rappers to rise. So now we talk about Cardi B. Cardi B started becoming more well known via videos she uploaded on Vine and Instagram. She was a regular cast member of the VH1 reality television series Love and Hip Hop New York from 2015 to early 2017. She then broke into the mainstream with her song Bodak Yellow, eventually hitting #1 on the Hot 100 in 2018. Her debut album Invasion of Privacy was also a commercial success, debuting at #1 in the Billboard 200. She then released other big hits during the 2020s with WAP and Up. Nicki and Cardi at the start were friendly to each other, even doing motorsport, but then eventually their camaraderie ended when Cardi attacked Nicki at the Harper's Bazaar Icons party, and the love story of their feud began there. I think Cardi was the first real big threat to Nicki Minaj because even though Remy started the hate train, I don't think she ever really had a chance of going mainstream, and she was kind of basically used as a pawn. Cardi, on the other hand, was a very entertaining and attention-grabbing figure, and she was able to infuse that magnetic personality into her music and create hit songs. I think for Cardi, I assume not only me but a lot of people as well, their biggest gripes with her is that she isn't a very good rapper. To be a rapper, you have to write, because the skill of rapping in and of itself isn't really that technically taxing like singing. If you don't write your raps, you're basically just a karaoke singer, and if you're not even good at singing, what's the point? Cardi has had ghostwriting allegations towards her, and this was further pushed when a demo of Be Careful with Partisan Fontaine leaked. I think Cardi sees hip-hop more as a money-making avenue than a craft, and that's totally fine because she definitely isn't the first to think this. However, with this mentality, coupled with the fact that even her rapping ability is kind of muddled the way she sometimes swallows her words, and you can even hear the spit in her voice when she raps, it won't put her in the same level as Nicki. Even if her second album comes out and does bigger numbers than her debut, no one will seriously say that she is better than Nicki or is the top female rapper, because deep down, everyone knows that she isn't, and that's fine, you know? I think she does well for what she does, which is create catchy songs. I don't really understand Cardi's career at this point, because she has yet to release a sophomore album, and even with all of its successes, Invasion of Privacy is no miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Cardi now has a longer gap between her first and second album than Nicki had between her fourth and fifth studio album. But for Nicki, she was already an established artist with an entire catalog behind her. Cardi only had one album out, so her not yet releasing a sophomore album is building up so much hype that I don't think she can sustain. Had she released an album back when she released WAP or Up, it would have been an entirely different conversation, because that album would have done numbers. Now, I don't really know. A big reason as to why Nicki dominated for so long is that she set the bar so high for female rappers that anyone that doesn't match up, it's kind of bad luck for them, because why would you even want to go get someone else when you already have Nicki Minaj? But when she got hit with the hate train and people started turning against her, Cardi had the perfect opportunity to step in.
Is that Nicki Minaj for a very long time has had like complete market share of the female rap, and for a very long time these other music industry execs have been trying to push their female rap products through. You know, you saw Iggy Azalea and you saw like all these other girls, and Nicki Minaj was just not letting these other corporate white guys get a piece of her fucking pie. So they made Cardi B and launched her. It's not a theory, it's the truth. They made her and launched her on Nicki, and that's just because of this greater white male like corporate part to the fucking music industry that's just not gonna they're just not gonna let a black girl have any sort of like power. You know, Nicki had too much like the power, the female rap power was too centralized in one spot. They had to launch something on her to break that shit up. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
that's what they did.
And I don't want to say that Cardi lowered the bar for female rap because that would imply that any female rapper after her only got to where they are because of a lower standard. I think the female rappers that came after Cardi are good and some are even great. But Cardi did show to record labels that female rappers other than Nicki Minaj are still viable. So thinking about female rap, I think it's important to note the impact of both Cardi and Nicki. Most of the new female rappers grew up watching Nicki and they're subsequently, even if they don't want to admit it, inspired by Nicki heavily. And she revived the entire female rap genre, whilst Cardi opened the doors for them to get signed and have huge successes. And this is where the new generation of female rappers come in. After Cardi entered the scene, other female rappers also rose to prominence. The City Girls, Saweetie, Coi Leray, and so many others that got hits and were successful in their own rights. But there were two female rappers that really took the reins, especially during the 2020s, Dojo Cat and Megan the Stallion. I think both are great artists, but the way I can describe them is that they are two sides of Nicki Minaj. Obviously they have their own strengths, and I would say sometimes even surpass Nicki in certain areas, but as both are heavily inspired by Nicki, as they have said multiple times, I think it's a fair comparison. Doja Cat is the more pop side of Nicki. She took Nicki's versatility and really made her own lane with her pop rap sound, whilst Megan is the more rapper side of Nicki, taking Nicki's more hardcore street edge with her. Doja Cat specifically has taken over the 2020s decade. She started gaining a lot of traction because of her song Moo and the very meme-esque way that she presented herself to the public and in her music, and it really resonated with the Gen Z audience. She then obviously followed it up with Say So, her first #1 hit, and with Nicki too, that was a big moment, and she took over TikTok especially. Her songs and sounds are seen throughout the app. Hot Pink really became this huge moment for Doja and it was her breakout era, and she followed it up with a successful next album, Planet Her. Doja really is a bona fide pop star that happens to be a female rapper, and what I mean by that is she has all the qualities that makes up a great pop star, but obviously she raps, so she's a female rapper. I don't really subscribe with the discourse of whether Doja is a female rapper or not because she is. If Doja's not a female rapper, then Lauryn Hill really isn't a female rapper either. Doja is definitely a female rapper and she's at the top of her game. In fact, I think Doja really is Nicki's actual competitor in terms of sales and streams. I have said this before, however, that I think Doja is a great artist but not a great rapper. And this is not me saying that Doja is a terrible rapper. I think she's a good rapper. However, if we listen to her newest album, Scarlet, I think her mission to move towards a more hip-hop sound was a hit or miss. And again, I'm not saying Scarlet is a bad album because Agora Hills is literally one of my most streamed songs of all time and that's my jam. I just think she sounds better sonically when she creates more pop rap songs. That's her specialty and that's where she excels at the best. Her versatility is also something we should note. She can really write a lot of beats effortlessly and never make it sound the same. One thing about Doja as well that kind of stops her from being the top female rapper right now is her sales, specifically album sales. Doja doesn't really have a lot of buying power behind her. She's a beast at streaming and most of her singles perform extremely well on the charts, especially in streaming. However, her album and singles debuts aren't that strong. The fact that she still doesn't have a #1 album is kinda crazy, honestly. Her performances, however, are absolutely incredible and I think she's the best female rapper in terms of performances. Like, no one really is doing it like her. You know, she's just so magnetic live. On the other side of the coin, Megan Thee Stallion is more of a hip-hop artist and that's really her specialty. She started gaining traction with Hot Girl Summer featuring Nicki Minaj and Ty Dolla $ign and Cash It with The Baby. She then went on to earn 2 #1 hits with Savage Remix with Beyonce and WAP with Cardi B. She released Good News as her debut album, debuting at #2 with over 100,000 copies sold, spawning hits like Girls in the Hood and Body. I actually like a lot of her earlier works, especially Fever. I think that's her best body of work yet, and even Cobra, I did like the sample and the beat. However, I really can't shake the criticism that Megan gets the most, which is most of her songs really do blend together after a while. I don't think there has been a lot of artistic growth with Megan. In fact, I think there was a lot of regression in her growth as an artist because there really was a lot of potential in her earlier works that I don't think was ever explored. I also do think her attempts to do more pop songs falls flat and she relies heavily on features to carry the song, vis-a-vis The Sweetest Pie, but even I can deny that the girl can rap. Songs like Captain Hook and Plan B shows her ability to really master the mic and just grab people's attention. I also think Megan is one of those artists whose online support doesn't really match her sales and streams, considering she has no problem conjuring up a hit tweet from the general public, but when it's time to stream her music, they're rarely there. In fact, one of the few times it did match was when she was dissing Nicki Minaj with Hiss. In fact, when Hiss first debuted, Ice Spice's single at the same time, Think You the Shit Bitch, had more global streams. It was really only after Nicki responded to Megan so callously that Hiss received more attention. It was honestly kind of her saving grace. She's also now an independent artist, which is valiant of her to not sign with a record label, meaning a lot of her music won't be promoted the same way other artists are. I think she does have her foot in the female rap game, but we do have to know that both Nicki and Doja have been consistently the top 2 best-selling female rappers of the 2020s decade, switching positions from time to time. And I don't see Megan really taking over either of them, honestly. Doja just has more appeal in her music and Nicki has a die-hard dedicated fan base. Megan has the support of the general public right now, but we have seen the general public can quickly turn on on you or not support you despite what they say on social media sites. I think it really is interesting how both the top female rappers right now are really two sides of Nicki. One is the more versatile pop artist whilst the other is more of a hip-hop artist, but neither of them possess both qualities the way Nicki does, and that's more of a statement towards Nicki's talent than a deficiency in Megan and Doja. I also want to mention some female rappers right now who either have caught my eye or are rising right now. Ice Spice was set to be the next big female rapper with her viral hit Munch, her collaboration with Pink Pantress on The Boy's a Liar, her collaboration with Taylor Swift on Karma, and her collaborations with Nicki Minaj and Princess Diana in Barbie World. She had a very memeable presence, able to get in with the trends on TikTok and even set them at some points. And Thank You the Shit Bitch actually did really well as a lead single for her upcoming album Y2K. However, her recent singles have shown that her star is fading, and fading fast. She lost a bunch of support from the Barbs after her friend leaked a convo of them talking about Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice was saying some weird things about her. Her monthly listeners dropped quick this year. I don't really see that much potential for Y2K anymore, honestly. I just don't sense the same star power from Ice Spice like the way she held it last year. She really kind of dropped the ball, honestly, releasing an album way after her hype was at its peak. Ice Spice's main rivalry right now is with Latto. Latto is a weird anomaly in female rap because I actually think she's really talented and she has some hits in her belt, but it seems like she's struggling to get another one. Sunday Service didn't really do well, as well as her other recent singles. Her numbers right now are being carried heavily by Seven, her collaboration with Jungkook. I don't really see a feature for Latto, but I'm happy that she's focusing more on her beef with Ice Spice than with Nicki Minaj, because that's who you're supposed to beef with, girl. Not a veteran with Nicki's power. But I do have to commend Latto for her style because I actually really like her style. Another person whose style I really like is JT, and JT is someone that I really am rooting for. She's really building a fanbase from the ground up, and she's been really hitting all the right marks since starting a solo career. Her rebrand is absolutely amazing. She really is this new alt girl now. Her style right now is just so top tier and I love her so much. She just had a single chart for the very first time as a solo artist with OK, and No Bars is well known on the internet. Her line, "Moi, no bars, I see it everywhere." There are also other female rappers that are on the rise right now, and I'm just happy to see it. I love female rappers so much, and I hope more female rappers come out of the gate, you know? And honestly, that's where female rap is at right now. This year has been kind of a weird year for female rap because it seems like there's been a steady decline for female rap, not in terms of quality, but in terms of the streams and numbers that they catch. The last two big main events of female rap was really Nicki's Pink Friday 2 and Nicki and Megan's feud with Hiss and Bigfoot. And after that, everything kind of slowed down. Ice Spice's numbers weren't doing that well, even Megan. I don't know, it seems like female rap right now is kind of in a rut, and hopefully someone breaks that rut, you know? I'm kind of hoping for JT. I'm rooting for JT to break that rut with City Cinderella. I think it's gonna be a great project. But yeah, honestly, let me know what you guys think of female rap. Now that you know the history of it, what do you think? Did it change some of the context for you for female rap? And also, what history did I miss in creating this video? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk. You know, let's have a tea. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. This is just the part 1 of this video, so there's gonna be a part 2. Watch that when it comes out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.